In recent times, my struggle with depression had increased, and not only was I experiencing depression, but I was also experiencing anxiety, and pair that with high overthinking. It was the cherry on top of the cake, and I was going through this. I tried my best to express happiness and content on the outside, but some days it got really, really hard doing this. I remember at a point in time, I always hoped for the evening or the night to come, not because I could do anything special, but so that I could sleep. I sort of viewed sleep as this form of rest from having to deal with all of this, a time in which my mind didn't have to constantly be racing and having to deal with all of these issues. And I remember at times not being fully satisfied that my sleep felt so short, even if I tried to sleep for more than 8 hours, or not satisfied at the fact that I couldn't fully experience some dreams. I would even try to get myself, or I would try to force myself to go back to sleep. All of this was attempts not to have to deal with reality. Going through major of these issues, I believe no one amongst my family or friends knew this about me because I often tried to portray a certain display of myself. And one thing I noticed about people who often may be struggling with such is that sometimes they are often the ones who try to make others smile or experience some sort of happiness when they themselves may be lacking such. And at times, not to try to burden others with their own problems. Not saying that this was always the case with me, but at times I shared some of those traits. And at times I eventually got so tired of being tired, but I didn't know how to fully experience joy or how to get out of that state. If I ever experienced that, the happiness or a break from that kind of mind state, it was never something perpetual. Eventually, or a few days after, I would again fall into this spiraling depression and anxiety. And a hard part was trying to always put a mask on, crack a smile, or laugh when inside I felt as if I was drowning, or at times, as I believed, broken. And another thing that was also shedding me to pieces, I can say, was the isolation. Maybe not physical isolation, but mental isolation. Never fully be able to connect with someone mentally and emotionally about all that was going on inside my own mind, with someone who I believed would understand or that at some point had gone through the same as I was experiencing or the same that I felt. It was hard to find people in which I could truly connect because even in often in conversations I had to shed off some pieces of myself to put on a happy and not a gloomy kind of display, I can say. It was not then until a later date that I got better, I believe. And I remember going to a Christian worship concert or a Christian social event where I truly managed to connect with all sorts of people, and especially with people who are much older than me. Many, if not all, more experienced than me. And even those that are my age who had struggled with depression and anxiety in the past. And being there, it was as if I was again experiencing or taking a breath of fresh air, like finally breathing again. Many who also prayed for me. And I remember even one of the guys there cried for me. And I tell you, I got really, really touched. And after understanding or growing in the understanding of God's love for me, even though I was a born again Christian for some time, and asking Jesus to remove my depression, anxiety, overthinking, that is when I started to really experience real joy and true happiness and real peace.